Oh, hello, everyone. Happy New Year. 2026 has finally arrived, and I'm excited to jump on with you all this morning to start off our new year right. I am decided to wear red today in honor of, we're not quite into the fire horse yet of Chinese astrology, but I'm super excited about what that's going to bring for us as well. So, hello, everyone, from wherever you are in the world. I think the last few times we talked, we were having lots of rain, and that has stopped. And now we have lots of fog on this New Year's Day. So, hello from the Canadian Rockies. Yes, it's tea time. I'm having coffee time. Happy New Year. Lots of love from London. Hello, and Texas, Vancouver Island, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Nova Scotia, St. Louis, Florida. Hello, Donna. Fort Myers, Florida, Utah, Malaysia. Benevolent Day of Jupiter. That's what we're calling our talk today, the Benevolence Generation of 2026. So hello, everyone. So, yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to be asking you all a lot of questions today, so you can warm up your keyboard. But do you have New Year's traditions that are unique? If you have a certain tradition, I would love if you would share that in the comment section. We have, being from the South, from Arkansas, we have a tradition of having black-eyed peas on January 1st, on the day of. And black-eyed peas is supposed to represent, good luck and blessings for the entire year. Then we have cornbread, and in the cornbread, a penny is dropped into it, so it's baked with the penny, and then everybody gets a slice of the cornbread, and whoever gets the penny gets extra good luck and extra blessings. So, I'm curious to know what kinds of traditions you all have. Hello from South Africa. Hello from California. Yes, we need some benevolence. Hello from Sweden and Denmark. Yeah, I'm really curious, especially those who are in other countries as well. Lentils is an Italian tradition. Hello from snowy New Hampshire. So I will look forward to reading some of your traditions later. Before I hop into this really great topic that we're going to be talking about today, just want to let you all know that we are, if you want to join me building your own blueprint for the year, we have just coming up in 10 days what's called Psychic Play Date. I've done this. This is my third year doing this, but this year we're just really going to focus on, I'm going to be teaching you the techniques, some of the techniques that I teach in my courses and my programs, but we're going to apply it to really creating the 2026 year, what you want to manifest, what your intentions are. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So the link is below. So let me just read this other one. Ontario, Canada. My parents are Gaiwanese, and we have pepper pot on New Year's, on Christmas morning. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, I heard about the grape thing. My niece is visiting from Oregon, and she and her kids, they got the grapes. They're supposed to climb underneath the table. Do you do that underneath the table? Unfortunately, you fell asleep at 11. But yes, so this is what my niece told me. She said, you have to eat 12 grapes, one grape for every month. And for some reason, you have to sit under a table when you do it. Okay, and then we have another one. Uncooked lentil is in small organza bags, and 5 each person, one to carry in their purse. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I wasn't up to, my grandson went to a gathering, and he wasn't quite sure if he was going to be spending the night or not. So I really worked at trying to stay awake in case I needed to go pick him up after midnight. But called and said he was staying, so I hopped right into bed. Okay, let's get started on this topic today, the benevolence generation. So back in 2025, about 6 months ago, there was these waves of benevolence that were coming through. The guidance that I was getting, the spiritual guidance that I was getting, was that this benevolence would be coming in around December 21st, which is the solstice time. And then it would be really building up in the year 2026. And there was a lot going on around the end of December, to include, for many of us, the holidays and things like that. But once we were through that, on the other side, all of a sudden I started to feel that benevolence again. So this is what I want to talk about, because there's a difference between human benevolence and honestly, because I have felt that pure benevolence before, and I wasn't sure up until now if we as humans actually had that potential to express that level of benevolence. And as I describe it more and share some stories with you, you may understand, you may be able to relate. But as we are now, especially in 2026, so I'm seeing 26, 27, 28, we're creating the light body. As we create the light body, I do believe that we will have a stronger ability we are receiving benevolence, but to express benevolence to each other. So I wanted to ask you first, remember I said, warm up your keyboard. So in the 1940s, we'll say the 1940s, because I know there are some on the call that are familiar with the 40s. What generation, what would you have called that generation of the 1940s, wherever you are from all over the world? And even if you have, parents and grandparents or great grandparents, what would you have called that generation in the 1940s? And then what would you have called the generation in the 1950s? And then we know the generation of love, right? That was in the 1960s. But at the same time, if you'll remember, we had that generation of peace and love at the same time the Vietnam War, and I'm sure other wars were going on around the world. So we've got that contrast, and we're living with that contrast right now. The baby boomers. And then, of course, we have the 70s generation. I was just describing the 80s generation as the kind of Kurt Cobain generation. And then we have the 90s and 2000s. So here it's like we're going to be calling this the benevolence generation. So we've entered a time in our human evolution where our relationship with the unseen world, the other dimensions, with non-local intelligence, higher coherence, and subtle fields of order, they're becoming more essential to navigate these rapid times that we're living in. It's becoming essential because I've already talked about the frequency forecasts where we're maturing. We want to be able to manage our energy field. We want to be able to stay on track, stay focused in our lane. But this other piece you've heard me talking about before, where to really help kind of smooth out the ride, in 2026, to help smooth out the ride, having and building a relationship with your own spirit, having and building a relationship with spirit guides or ascended masters or, angels. And I know there's a lot of people that don't, for many of you who are on the call today, probably talk to the spirit realm all the time, but there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that, or not quite sure, or don't think that they're worthy of it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about benevolence today, because benevolence is more of a frequency. It can be expressed through ascended masters, but they express them differently. But benevolence is a pure frequency. And I'm not even sure that I can call it a frequency of love, because I have felt it. It's almost beyond that kind of human love. So 2026 is not a slow year because it is the year of the fire horse. So I encourage you all to look up Chinese medicine, the fire horse, to learn more about it. But it means it's fast moving, expansive, and luminous, and it accelerates consciousness. So for those of you who've been right at the edge, of consciousness, it's really going to expand. Intuition's going to expand. Psychic development's going to expand. And for those who are already feeling pretty conscious, have your eyes wide open, be able to see the truth and see the illusions, then it's just going to deepen your ability at a very, very soul level. So as this year accelerates in consciousness, it gets much better at traveling between worlds, traveling between dimensions, and being in contact with higher dimensional forms of support. So this is what we're talking about today. Okay. So what is arriving is not more information. I mean, how many of us, benevolence doesn't, it's even hard to describe in words. So I'd be really curious. In my write-up, I included a few words here that I can throw out there, but I don't even know if that can describe benevolence. And yes, Satori, it can be described as an agape love, but what does agape mean then? What does that mean? So these are the terms that we're creating for this world that's going to unfold for us over this next year of 2026. So we've talked about in the past, we're saying the veil is thin, like we'll talk about it at 11:11, or we'll talk about, the Lion's Gate 8:8. We'll talk about portals, talk about October 31st and November 1st, the veil's really thin, But this is a little bit different because what I'm being shown is, rather than just I'm standing on one side of the door and another dimension is standing on the other side of the door, it's not that doorway as much as it's an expansion. We're going through this expansion this year. And as we go through this expansion, it's like this unified collective consciousness. We begin to really care about one another, and we can expand. We feel more of that kindness because it's spilling over from the other higher dimensions where the angelic realm is and the ascended master realm. And then even, with earth, there's this benevolence, if you've ever been loved by a tree, it's pretty incredible. So, well, that's a good point, Melissa. Not Melissa. Who just wrote 111? Christine. I see Christine. So this veil being thin, it's like a light gossamer fabric that you can see through. But what appears to be happening now is the expansion of dimensions to where one slight shift of thought can bring you close to the comfort of benevolence. So I was talking to the star beings this morning in my meditation, and they were trying to describe to me this expansiveness where it's just like you can just shift like this, and then suddenly you're in the consciousness of the Syrians, or the planet Sirian, or Orion's belt, or the Pleiades, you just, that shift in consciousness, and then you are already connected to that purity. So that's what we're talking about today. So this is the new year of 2026. And it's actually just one January 1st, the first of the year of hundreds of thousands of years in the past, where we already started a cycle again and again and again. And so we are completing this cycle of 9 years, and now we're beginning another 9-year cycle. So This year is a change point in conscious awareness of who you truly are and what you are truly capable of. My sense is that's what this year is more about, is you are getting an idea of what you're capable of. And as humans, we are so much more capable of so many things we can't even begin to name it. So, and with it comes this huge cosmic influence. I kind of said from the heavens, the dimensions, the higher dimensions filled with beauty, grace, mercy, and kindness at levels that can take your breath away. You may experience these moments in 2026 as brief throughout the year, just little. When I have felt them, it's kind of like, like you just catch your breath, like, whew, I don't know what just happened, but you just feel like this rush of, I'll call it benevolence, you could call it joy, you could call it happiness, and it can seem very short and very fleeting. And then but you never forget it. That's the thing about benevolence, is that when you have that feeling that I can name every time in my life, which I'm naming 3 times in my life that I have felt that true benevolence, and I can still, it's like I was there. So I'm really curious if any of you have ever felt what we're describing as benevolence. And so, and so for some of you, it may last for longer periods of time. But once you experience expansive grace, you don't forget it because your soul is touched by its frequency. So I looked it up on the internet, and they're calling this kind of universal benevolence transpersonal benevolence, because it's not just personal, it's not just human, it's not just 3D, it's above and beyond. It's a multi-dimensional benevolence. But it's funny, like I'm kind of laughing inside of myself because I have felt benevolence before. And when I was in that moment, and I'm going to share the stories, when I was in that moment, I couldn't speak. I could care less if there was a word. I couldn't think. The mental desire to just chew on something just could not exist at all in this benevolent frequency. So I laugh because here we're trying to describe and bring in words. But what my ancestors are always telling me is, Nancy, you and everyone else is creating the language for the future. So it's really important that we still keep trying to find a language that's going to assist, the world, assist humanity in finding some structure through words. But it is, it doesn't require any thinking. It doesn't require any talking. So, all right. So transpersonal benevolence is not human kindness amplified. It's in a whole different realm. Okay, a whole different realm. It's a field-based benevolence. Let's see if I can keep saying that word, because I'm going to use words again. Unconditional. It requires no effort. It's non-relational. And here's the thing. You don't have to heal yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have any of that stuff to be able to experience benevolence. It does not pick and choose. It isn't who's worthy, who's not worthy. It's not who has a pure heart and who doesn't have a pure heart. It's none of that. But at the human level, it is. And so when I talk about, when people talk about encounters like with Mother Mary or Jesus or Shiva or Kuan Yin or Buddha, that enormous, that love that they feel. And I have felt that, and I have felt that love before when I've meditated with the star beings and with Mother Mary and Jesus or Kuan Yin, when I've meditated, I can feel that expression. But the type of benevolence I'm talking about today, it's like it's the current, it's the frequency that these ascended masters ride on, and they have their, like with Jesus is so much about love and compassion, right? That human love, compassion, treat others as you would want to be treated, so, and then Mother Mary has another frequency that she adds to benevolence. And I'm talking like I know them personally. But these are just based on my personal experiences that benevolence is a frequency that doesn't have a personality, if I can put it that way. That's my experience. And this is what we're going to experience waves of. And so benevolence is experienced as a pure frequency of oneness. There's no judgment. There's no agenda. There's no expectation of getting anything back. And that's kind of a good point. Like when I had this visitation from Mother Mary, so I'll share the story, but there is this sense of like, oh, I need to, because she blessed me with her presence, I should go get roses. And I did, and place roses in honor of Mother Mary and things like that. But the benevolence frequency is not like that. It's not like that. So I'm going to describe a story, and in the story, I'm going to intend that frequency go out to you all and see if you can feel it. So there's no emotional charge to it. There's no hunger. There's no neediness. There's nothing pulling at it. It doesn't require your nervous system to do anything. It simply exists, and your system reorganizes itself in that presence. Okay. So at a body level, you can feel completely seen without being evaluated. Again, these are words that really minimize what benevolence is. There's no fear. There's no overwhelm. And you're being held, but even being held is a container that doesn't quite describe it. But there's no personality. It's neutral. It's pure neutral. And so let me just share a story with you. So in this story, I was working with, I had a woman who had contacted me. So she had cancer. She was on hospice. She was given less than 3 months to live. And I'm a retired ICU nurse and a retired hospice nurse. So she wanted to come see a healer to see if I could help heal her cancer. So I did talk to her, and I said, healing, what healing does is it helps connect you with your own soul. And then whatever outcome of that, it can be a healing without extending life, is what I'm trying to say. But she agreed. She totally understood. She still wanted to come in for a session. So she comes in, and what I do is the person will sit in front of me, and then I'll use my clairvoyance to look at their energy field. And she did not tell me anything about where her cancer was. She was having some symptoms of difficulty breathing and body pain. And so I knew that shifting some energy would be able to assist her to feel better. And as I was looking at her energy field, and I had probably been already into it about 10 minutes, and this was early on in my career as a healer. So I had retired as a nurse. Okay. Next thing you know, Mother Mary literally moves through the wall and into the room where I am. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And then telepathically, I heard Mother Mary say, please let her know that I'm here and I'm here to offer her a healing. And I thought, oh, I don't know what she's going to think. Like now I don't care. But back then, I was a nurse and I had a profession and I got referrals from professionals. And it's just so silly the way I thought. But here we go. I asked the woman, Mother Mary's here. I said, Mary's here. And she goes, Mary who? And I said, Jesus's mom. And so she goes, oh, she said, the church I go to, we only talk about Jesus. We never talk about Mary. But anyway, so I watch Mother Mary moving her hands around this woman and offering this healing. And it was probably no more than 5 minutes. And then Mother Mary turned to me and said, no more healing is required today. And so I said to the woman what Mother Mary said, no more healing is required today, but I did have permission to still offer information to kind of tell her what her energy field looked like. But what happened was the woman said to me, I've been healed. I'm healed. You totally healed me. And I said, I might be good, but I'm not that good. Like you must have prayed for something. And she said she didn't. The only thing that she asked for that morning was a miracle. So anyways, beautiful presence. We ended up just sitting there. And that benevolence, by this point, Mother Mary has left the building. But this beautiful, we just sat there. We probably sat there for 30 minutes and not one word was exchanged. The woman couldn't ask me a question and I couldn't give her an answer because it was like we were the questions and we were the answers at the same time in this pure form of acceptance. Like we knew everything that was known in the divine world. And it's interesting at the 3D realm, we want to talk about it a lot, but when you're in that pure benevolence, you don't want to talk about it. It's because it breaks the spell. I will say the woman did go to her oncologist and her body had been full of cancer and all her cancer it was gone. And she was taken off hospice. She did live 3 more years and her cancer came back in a different place. And she said, I'm happy. I got 3 more years. I don't need to do anything else. Okay. So there's that story. No dialogue, no instruction, no transaction, just pure coherence. And so at the human level, for us to feel loved or feel that benevolence, we first have to feel safe. We first have to feel like we can trust this other person. And so there's a lot of things we put in place before we're going to allow this benevolence in or this love in or to allow somebody to love you. So that's that human condition. So here I have this other story about that. I was teaching in South Africa and there were about 25 students in the classroom and there was a blend. There were some from India, Hindu, and there were some who were Muslim and then some who were English Christian. And so there was this beautiful blend of culture in this room. And so one of the techniques that I teach, it's about, and you're going to experience in the meditation today, is to bring in, we would talk about different colors. of energy associated with different things. And then we would bring in maybe the frequency of jealousy, or maybe the frequency of anger, or and love, and things like that. So people were super excited to bring in the frequency of love. What happened was, because we had done several frequencies, so I was going to do the finishing touches were going to be with love. So I had them create this large ball of love above their head and just let the love come down and saturate their field. Well, there were about 5 people, students in the class, that ran out of the class. That got so upset, so triggered, they ran out of the class. There was about 5 more that started crying so hard. There were others that say, this doesn't feel good. It totally shocked me. And what I realized later was that, yeah, people who have said that they love you and that they care for you and they want to protect you, or they don't want to bring hurt or harm, end up bringing hurt and harm. And so these different students had experienced conditional love and hurtful and harmful type of love. And so, as much as you all may think that we just need to love one another, we can barely love ourselves right now. And we can barely let that love in. So in the meditation, we're going to bring in some of that benevolence. We're going to do some clearing first as well. So yeah, that was quite a shock. And I don't do that anymore. That was 25 years ago. And I do not, in my classrooms, we don't bring through love. The students can do it, but we do a lot of clearing and healing before we bring through that love. So your nervous system at the human level needs to feel safe enough to care. Okay, that's it. So I'm trying to think. I don't know how much I want to get into all that. I'm just listening to Linda. I woke up one morning last week and was standing at the bottom of my bed. My spirit was looking down. So you were floating, had an out-of-body experience. So transpersonal benevolence. So we're talking about the human benevolence. We're talking about transpersonal benevolence. Is somebody titled it that? It's a higher dimensional state of coherence. It's a higher, very high level dimensional state of coherence, meaning we're all vibrating in the same state. And this type of benevolence is currently infusing into our solar system, into our 5th dimension, into the 4th dimension, into the 3rd dimension, where we have that the physical body. But we're kind of struggling to bring it in right now because we've got old patterns and old stuck energy. And so we're going to do this in a meditation to help clear some of that, to bring some of the benevolence in. And we're going to do a little world healing as well. And yeah, I think that's Havana is talking about nirvana. I think that's a pretty good, like, if you feel the word, it feels right to me. So yeah, that's a good one. So I have another story for you. When we talk about the benevolence is a higher dimensional state of coherence. So healing touch is a mode of healing. You lay on a table and you get your energy field balanced. And so I did go through all the levels in the healing touch program. I became certified in the program, and I became a certified teacher in the program. So I had been involved in their program for quite a while. And so I was kind of like at the 4th or the 5th level, which was going to require we be in a retreat. Now, I will share with you, just to give you a little background, the retreat center had been, I think it had been a convent in the past, but had been converted into a retreat center. So it had that kind of history on the grounds there. So one of the things that we needed to do was we partner with somebody for the whole week while we're in retreat, and we offer healings on each other. So it was a beautiful day. It was actually May 1st. And so my partner and I decided to go out under the tree, and a lot of people did. We set up our table. All right, she's laying there on the table. So I'm practicing my touch. And there was like a flutter, something happened that caught my attention. And I remember my hands are in front on the person. And I looked up at the sky, and the sky opened up. My clairvoyance, the sky opened up. All these angels came down out of the clouds. They had trumpets and everything. Like it was just like what you read about in religious books, came down. And then I saw Mother Mary come through this procession of angels down to the earth. Now, I'm clairvoyant. I can see things. I can see into the other realms. But I still can wonder if I'm really seeing this. But next thing you know, I've got my eyes closed. I'm still working with the person. And suddenly I can feel like these like leaves or flower petals falling on back of my hand, and it felt like rose petals. And then it was just like the rose petals seemed to be piling up, and then I could taste rose water in my mouth. I mean, it was like this full sensory experience. And Mother Mary is still there, and there were probably about 30 of us out in this big garden with our tables and stuff. Well, I wasn't going to say anything at all. I thought, well, this was a lovely experience for me. But my client got off the table, and she dropped to her knees, and she put her hands on my feet and said, "You brought Mother Mary, you brought Mother Mary, you brought Mother Mary." And I was like, okay. She experienced Mother Mary, even though I didn't say anything. When I looked around the whole property, everybody had stopped. Even people on the tables were sitting up and looking the direction where Mother Mary was. When I asked them later why, they don't even remember looking that way. But clearly they were noticing something. And then when we went back in the building, the teacher said, "Mother Mary is here. Who called in Mother Mary?" So the reason why I love that story so much is because I could see her with my clairvoyance. I saw the angels with the trumpets, but I thought I just had a really vivid imagination. But she came in and she touched everybody with this. You could be wounded, you could be mentally ill, you could be grouchy, you could hate politicians, you could do this, you could do that. But when that benevolence comes in, the playing field is leveled. You can't help but look at each other in a very loving way. So I share that story because that's that bigger, higher dimensional realm that is being brought down to earth. That we're in a place where we can now experience it more often. And I didn't ask for anything. I was being technical in my hand positions. And so you don't even have to pray. You don't even have to ask. Just like the other woman had said, well, I asked for a miracle, but she wasn't specific. And I've had these other visitations like this, just one other one that was so profound. And it's like just being open, right? I didn't even know what open meant like. But anyway, yes, they are goosebump moments. So here we are in 2026. I'm told, I didn't make up this term, the benevolent generation. I was told by the star beings that you are entering into 2026, the year 2026, which is the year of benevolence generation. So I'm sharing that with you. So we're going to do a meditation, but before we do the meditation, I wanted to look at the whole world. So I used my clairvoyance to look at the whole world because I could see the benevolence was like out in the outer realms, but it wasn't coming all the way down to the earth. Let me read my, I'm shown something like a black granite grid, dense, coated, impervious, a structure that seems impenetrable to benevolence. So it's like the benevolence was there, but this black granite just kind of all around the world. And then yet there are cracks in this black granite, and cracks and deep cracks and crevices. And that's where I saw the benevolence starting to come in. It started trickling through. So that's where we are right now. So if you all are happy to join me today in this guided meditation, I thought we can also offer some healing to help dissolve and crumble some of the black granite. Offering prayer, presence, willingness, not forcing the grid to break. We're not doing that. We're just allowing the benevolence. We're inviting, we're praying for the benevolence to enter where it already can. Does that make sense? Now, and what I loved about this when I was talking to my guides, they said human benevolence is like a candle. You have the candle, you get the candle, you put the candle in the candle holder, you strike the match, you light the match. There's a flame, there's this beautiful glow in the room. So there are steps, there are action steps, there's effort to human benevolence. But to the higher dimensional benevolence, it's like the sunlight. So it's like humans like the candle, and then the other dimensional benevolence is like the sunlight. They both illuminate. All right, let me see where my meditation is. So thank you for saying that I make a lot of sense, because I see a lot in the spirit world and a lot of it doesn't make sense. And I'm really good at asking a lot of questions. I've got to get it to make sense to me. And with benevolence, I want more. I want more. So I'm asking questions. How can we do that? And it's like, all right, let's just clear some of this depressive corruption, whatever you want to call it, this black granite. Let's just see if we can move a little bit. Oh, and Lori, Renee, thank you so much for saying the blue light started coming in on Christmas Day, dark blue lapis, and it has not left. If you close your eyes, and she was just saying, closed her eyes and could see blue light. So, okay, it's an exciting year. We're going to make it an exciting year. How about we put it that way? All right, you all ready for a meditation? I definitely went longer than I intended to. So get yourself comfortable, whether you're laying down, sitting on the floor, or a chair. Take a moment to settle in your body. You can move it around. Say hello to your body. You'll find when you're working with me that number one. Close your eyes, turn within, and remember, you don't need to be fixed. In this meditation, there's nothing to fix, nothing to achieve. Allow your body to be exactly as it is. Feel the surface beneath you, whether it's the chair, the floor, the yoga mat, earth holding you. Let your nervous system register in your body that you are being supported. And let's go ahead and work with some blue today. So let's ground. So imagine a grounding force going from about the area of your hips. I know some of you like to ground from your feet, but you can do your feet as well. So hips, feet, imagine this dark blue lapis light going all the way from the lower part of your body, all the way through the layers of the earth, all the way to the center of the earth, and allow this lapis blue frequency to blend with the magnetic core as you're grounding. And take a moment to set your intention to that you're going to release anything in your own energy field that may interfere with your ability to experience the feelings and the sounds and the sights and the knowingness in this meditation today. So anything that might block your intuition, just let it flow right down your grounding to be recycled. Whew, there's a lot there in your energy fields as I'm looking out at how you all are doing. It's whew, your auras are full, full, full. So let's just release, just let any energy you've been around, probably around a lot of family and just doing a lot of things. And so just release anybody else's energy right down that blue rod, that blue beam of light. Just set your intention. You're going to just completely clear your aura of all other people's energy or old triggered energy. There you go. That's getting better. Remind yourself of how old you are. Make sure it's your current age. And then remind yourself of what today's date is. This recording happens to be January 1st, 2026. But even if you're listening to this Benevolence Generation guided meditation 10 years from now, it will still be relevant. There you go. Present time, present age. Now you're really releasing. Now let's bring in a large ball of blue lapis, cosmic frequency above our head. And just imagine it just flowing right down on the outside of your aura, all the way around on the inside of your aura. Again, it's just going to bring anything that's out of balance, bringing it back into balance for you. And let it just flush right down your grounding as well. Remember, the blue frequency dissolves illusion, enhances truth and justice. Now we're going to create a large ball. We're just going to call benevolence into the room, a benevolence frequency. Now, for me, I don't see the benevolence frequency as a color. It's just very clear. But whatever color comes to you or frequency, but let's just intend, let's just call in the benevolence frequency from the ascended dimensions to flow into the room where you are, and then flow through the top of your aura, through your whole energy field, letting your whole body soak up benevolence frequency. This benevolence frequency is not coming from another being. It's not being directed at you. You are just allowing it to flow through you. Benevolence does not ask you to be open. It does not ask you to heal. It does not ask you to understand. It just is. Notice where your body starts to soften, or if nothing is happening at all. Both are perfect. As you are in the flow with benevolence, let's imagine an image of the earth. Now, if you don't see images, then you have other ways of picking up that sense of the earth, whether it's through feeling or through maybe you hear the earth or a knowingness. But imagine it off in the distance. And sense and imagine the earth surrounded by a dark, dense layer of black granite-like mass that has formed over thousands of years of conflict. This mass represents old fear, control, survival consciousness, and ancient stuck patterns. And it's actually not solid, but it's just so dense that it appears solid, but there are cracks in it, and there are deep cracks in it. And you made those cracks. Consciousness made those cracks. All of 2025 was about making those cracks. And now, as we move into the benevolence generation, simply imagine benevolence flowing into the earth's atmosphere, seeping through the cracks like light through stone, like warmth through frozen ground. We're going to heal the earth today. At least start. As the benevolence enters, that black starts to soften, to lose its cohesiveness, and it begins to dissolve naturally with the frequency of benevolence. We are not participating as a healer or as a savior. We are participating as a witness and an amplifier to what already exists. The benevolence frequency already exists. We're just placing our attention on it and watching it grow. Beautiful. So this is a good start for the earth. It's a good start. So let go of the image or the feeling of earth, the knowingness of earth. Just let go of all that you were working with. You can always revisit it again later. Bring your attention back to where you are in the room that you are in. Feeling your body again, your arms, your legs, your hands, your feet. Let your nervous system remember this benevolent frequency as something that's extraordinary and something that's available to you. And say silently to yourself, I allow benevolence to move through me without effort, without fear, without demand. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and move your body around. What a great way to start the new year, start the Benevolence Generation. Allowing yourself to bring in benevolence and offering it to humanity and to the earth as well. Just being witness. So, Carrie, whatever you are going to do on this day, and I know for some of you in other parts of the world, it's already the next day, but wherever you are, whatever you're going to do, just watch what happens as your field is just radiant with benevolence. Whether you can feel it or not, notice what happens to people as you move throughout your day. Share some of that benevolence with them. And I hope to see you all be able to register for the Psychic Play Date on January 10th. It's a one-day workshop. We're going to have loads of fun. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks again. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.